What's up, everybody? Coach Bram here today with a little performance tip. Today we're going to dive into unilateral training of the lower half. Normally we find ourselves training in bilateral patterns, being squats, legs together, and pressing, those arms together, or same thing for pulling, okay? So today we're going to cover the unilateral of the lower body, which is very huge importance because when it comes to the function of the body, unilateral is how we do it, okay? We have gait cycle. That's how we walk, that's how we run. But the biggest thing is, in order to have efficient, functional hips, we need proper extension of that hip as well as internal rotation. So one of the best things we're going to do is we're going to dive into some knee-dominant unilateral patterns that both help improve stability of the hip while working on hip extension and internal rotation, okay? So step number one, we're going to go talk about the split squat or the stationary lunge. So you'll drop 1 foot back, 1 foot forward. You can turn those toes in just a little bit to create a little bit of torque of the hip. We're going to drop straight down, right back up. As we drop down, let your shoulders come over your hips a little bit, okay? Because as we're dropping down, that pelvis is twisting, just like when we walk. Our pelvis doesn't stay stationary. It rotates, it moves, okay? So as you drop that knee, let those shoulders lean forward and then drive right back up, okay? So once we master the split squat, we go to a walking lunge. So walking lunge, you guys know it. Big step out, control on the way down, okay? We don't want to cut ourselves short. If we're right here, we're loading the knee really well, but we're not doing anything for that back hip, okay? So we want to stride out, challenge that hip extension and internal rotation of that back leg. So once we master the walking lunge, we can progress to a walking lunge with the sprinter pose. Sprinter pose is knee up, toe up, tight glutes, okay? Stabilizing that pelvis. So we go into that lunge, and as we drive up, knee up, toe up. Try to find that good balance point, okay? And then after that, the next thing we would go into a Bulgarian split squat, or also known as a rear foot elevated split squat. So if you're in a gym, you'll typically use a bench or maybe another implement. If you're at home, you can definitely use your couch or a chair. So you'll throw your back foot up on that bench, challenge that hip extension, so just put that front leg out there, and then control your lower, okay? Control it nice and slow, then drive back up. So once we go from there, our next step is going to be a front foot elevated Bulgarian split squat. So if you're in a gym, we could use a box, we could use a plate. If you're at home, you could use a book, whatever you feel is adequate, okay? So you throw that plate out where your front foot normally is. Your front foot will go up there, back leg goes on the bench. Same thing, we're creating a deeper range of motion to create that to challenge that hip extension and flexion as well as knee flexion, okay? So we'll drop down, drive back up, drop down, drive back up. Okay, see those are our progressions, but not only is that the basic beginning of all of that, we also have to talk about loading patterns when we're doing that. So we always have our goblet hold, which challenges the anterior core. But we also can do a dual dumbbell or suitcase dumbbell, which is more challenging the load and the strength than it is stability. And then we have, let's say, we're doing a contralateral load, which is like the opposite leg. So if this foot's forward and this leg's back, this dumbbell's going right here. As I drop, I'm challenging my anterior oblique sling. That's challenging the core and the adductors and forcing me to stabilize. Now see, that's huge importance. Now say I'm a football player and I'm sprinting and I'm 200 pounds and then some 300-pound lineman comes and smokes me. I'm challenging my core in that position so I'm ready for my performance on the field. We're bridging the gap. We're using dynamic correspondence to get better, okay? The next thing we can do an ipsilateral load where we're gonna put it on the same side. So then it goes the same, foot back, we're going down. Here, we're challenging that lateral stability of the hip. We're challenging that glute med. We're forcing it to turn on, fighting that anti-lateral flexion of the core and locking it in, okay? So there's a lot going on right there, but the biggest thing is knowing where to start and knowing where to finish. Now see, once that all happens, is we can start to use barbells, safety bars, we can bring in different implements. But in the beginning, we're gonna challenge good movement patterns and work efficiently. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Enjoy the rest of your day.